Venga means let's go in Spanish. Vamos, venga, it's the same. Vamos, venga, 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 venga. So we spoke about the fact that not all the legumes need to be soaked in water. I much rather keep my white beans and my garbanzo beans. I put them at least 4 or 5 hours in soaking water. When we started the process today, these were the beans I put here, and they already have yield to twice the size. I do that because it helps to tenderize them, it helps to cook them, and also I do it because I've always seen at home being done this way. And we're gonna cook those. The lentils, we were doing them with bay leaf only, and these here we're gonna cook them with a little carrot, some onions, and a little bit of celery. So the water that I've used, I'm gonna strain it. Okay. I like not to use boiling water rather than hot water. So I got my beans here. I'm going to place them in this water. I think you could start perfectly with cold water if you want it. Just going to chop a little bit of celery. I've got a quarter of an onion here and a little bit of carrot. I like to put a little drizzle of olive oil and a little touch of salt. Okay, and then we're gonna put this here to cook, and we'll come back once they're ready, which would take about 20-25 minutes. All right, by now our white beans are probably done. Okay, and you see we've cooked them with carrot, celery, and onion. And I think it's good to leave the white beans in the water that you cook them on. For a couple of reasons. I think they stay softer, but it also, the water, in case you ever need it, it's always handy to have it in case you need to thin down the dish. So we're gonna put them on the side to cool off, and then we're gonna move here and talk about one of the most important condiments in Catalan food, which is samfaina. Okay, samfaina, and in French it's called ratatouille. You probably know the movie. In Spain it's called pisto manchego. In Italy it's called peperonata. So this is our style. And Barcelona, it's as Mediterranean a city as it can be. It's actually perhaps the biggest seaport in the Mediterranean now. So a lot of things come and go there. So this is also the base of it. It's red onion, red bell pepper, and eggplant. We sweat all these three ingredients together with garlic. We're gonna put a couple dried chilies. Then we're gonna finish with pimenton. One of my key ingredients here, always we bring pimenton, and some olive oil, a little bit of sofrito, or we also have some more vinegar in here. We're gonna go quick because this is all ready. I just wanna give you a couple tips. As always, the onions, we've been seeing how we've been dicing the onions. Always keep your onion together. It's gonna be easy, especially the head. Just cut a little bit only. Okay, cut the onion from top to bottom. Peel it. Take as many layers as you think that you need to, because I like to take the least I can, but also you wanna take the most you need to. I hope I make sense. The first layer, you can see it's still very dark in color. So what you want is to, get a nice color purple onion. Okay, so you just want to make little cuts that they go all the way through, but they don't go through, you see? Because you want to hold the onion together, the head on this top, on this side. So we're going to cut for this amount I got in here. This is 1 onion, half an eggplant, and 1 red bell pepper. So once we have done these lines on the onion, now it's easy. Just go from top to bottom. You see but what you want is this very little tiny piece of onion that once it's cooked, you don't find it in here. Okay, once we have our onions ready, we put them in a pot like this with olive oil, cover them and sweat them. Once the onions are into 10 minutes of being cooked at low heat, I get a few garlic cloves, clean them as well. little bit, and you add them on to the onions. Okay, stir everything up, everything cover. Now we're going to talk about the peppers. I do something that you probably have never seen with the pepper, which is not a big deal, but you're going to see we clean the peppers, and then one thing I like to do with the pepper, because me particularly, I have a hard time digesting peppers. I don't know if everybody does, and I think part of the problem I have with the peppers to digest them is the skin. So I'm going to peel the skin. Once this is done, we do the same. We dice it. Okay, and about 15 minutes into the onions, into the cooking process of the onions, they're covered, we add the red bell pepper. At the same time that you add the red bell pepper, I would put the chili flake there. Like this, it gives you some flavor. And then the third ingredient, or fourth, counting the garlic, it's the eggplant. The eggplant is the same deal. You want to wait the last minute to peel it, because otherwise it's going to get dark. But you do the same. You peel them. And the samfaina, once it's done, it's perfectly freezable. So I would recommend you do a big batch since you spend the time doing it. Then you freeze it. And then you can have a base for pasta, for rice, for meat, for fish. This goes well in many, or you just to have a piece of toast with some samfaina on top and some crumbled cheese on top. This we're going to do the same. We're going to try to dice it up. We spoke the other day about the importance of having the right equipment. In 1 second you saw me using the peeler, a small knife, a larger knife, a cutting board, all these things. If you want to start cooking, people tell me, oh, how am I going to do this home? First, get the right equipment, and then we talk about how to do it. The utensils are super important. So we got this, then we're going to dice it, and that we put towards the end of the cooking process, okay? So we got everything in here. All right then, so you sweat everything together, and by the time it's almost ready, you add some of the sofrito. Another thing that you should always have sofrito handy, I think it'll help you in many dishes. You square some of the sofrito on top and a little bit of pimenton, and if you think it's too thin, you put a little more of olive oil. As you can see, the olive oil is on the bottom. Okay, so this is the samfaina. All right, once this is done, we're going to mix everything together. You're going to see how easy it is. All right, so we got our white beans already cool enough in here. They look great. We had the samfaina, and in here we got some spinach. We showed last time how to prepare the spinach. I'm just going to chop them, otherwise you're going to find big pieces of spinach in your mouth. They're sauteed with garlic, olive oil, little salt and pepper. And the beauty of all these dishes that once you have everything ready, you just have to get a nice bowl and just mix everything together. Sunflower seeds, we got some cranberries here, spinach, and the samfaina. I'm going to put some of the beans with juice and all. I try not to use any of the vegetables I put to cook them. I could have drained them, but this works perfectly too. I think that should be enough. I'm going to put some of the samfaina. If you are worried about protein intake, maybe you can saute some tofu and add it to this. At the beginning I was using a little tofu on this, but I figured out that this had enough protein. We put the cranberries. We're going to put some sunflower seeds, and I'm just going to mix it now. And this is a great dish. Just takes a long time to prepare the samfaina and a little love to prepare the white beans, which you gotta soak them before ahead of time. and then just eye it. Keep an eye here, make sure that you get the right composition, the right mixture here. It's beautiful. It looks almost like a mosaic, this dish. And now, the thing about beans, it is often that everybody tells me, oh, beans are boring. You gotta make them non-boring. It's great. Maybe we can season it a little more. As always, I like to find a little bit of acidity, maybe a little touch of vinegar on top, and I think that's all it needs. You're going to be my judges once you do this at home, because I had some left over. I don't want to have any left over here. Once you make samfaina, this is what you got to see at the bottom of the plate. This layer, this is like making paella. This layer of fat has to be big part of the dish. All right, and this is our bowl of white beans with samfaina. Buen provecho.
Hey, I'm Drew Hayes. I am a registered dietitian and assistant professor here at the University of Texas, and I specialize in food science. So we are going to examine this delicious white bean dish here. So first, we are going to kick it off by talking about some really cool pigments that are present in this dish. So you can see over here I have eggplant, red onion, and cranberries, and they all have a beautiful red color. And that red color comes from a compound which are actually pigments called anthocyanins. And anthocyanins are also considered phytochemicals, so they are non-nutritive compounds that have health benefits. So anthocyanins have been shown to act as vasodilators, so help open up your vessels and allow blood to flow more freely. And also they have antioxidant properties. So anytime we can squeeze some of these beautiful red colors in a dish, we may have some additional benefit. The next thing I want to talk about is beans. So beans are one of my favorite foods. They truly are nutritional superheroes. They are affordable. They contain protein, they provide carbohydrates, they provide fiber, and they also count as a vegetable. So anytime that we're eating beans, we're getting all of those other additional benefits. So I want to talk a little bit more about the fiber that is present in beans. So beans contain non-digestible fibers that when we consume them, our body can't break them down. And that might sound concerning, but that's actually very good news. The fiber in beans is actually considered what we call prebiotic fiber. So what that means is that though we can't digest the carbohydrates that are present in some of the beans, the microbes in our GI tract can. And so what that means is when we are eating beans, we are giving our microbiome some delicious and important nutrients so that it can thrive and flourish. And we know that microbiome integrity is very closely linked to health. And so this is a really awesome way to ensure that we are going to keep our microflora nice and happy. So beans are excellent. When preparing beans, it's common for us to soak beans, and you may be wondering why that is. So it's common to soak beans like these white beans overnight before they are prepared. And that is because they contain additional indigestible carbohydrates that may cause some gas, bloating, or GI distress. Though mild, we can limit that effect by soaking them overnight. Those carbohydrates will solubilize in water, and then when we proceed with cooking, we should be fine and not experience any GI distress. So beans contain compounds called pectins. Pectins act as the cement in between the cells within beans. So you may have noticed that when you're cooking beans from the dried state, that it takes a long time. And that's partially due to the presence of pectin. So in the recipe that we're seeing here, it also has sofrito, which has a tomato and onion base. Tomatoes are acidic, and so pectin within these beans, the breakdown is actually slowed by the acidic pH of the tomatoes, which means that's going to increase the cooking time. It's not a bad thing, but just realize that when we're going to be cooking beans with an acidic ingredient, you can expect to cook them longer. So you also may have heard that including salt in recipes with beans during cooking will make the beans take longer to cook. And that's actually not true. Salt actually doesn't slow the cooking process. What it does is it firms the outside of the beans. So having salt in the recipe while you're cooking beans will keep them intact, which actually can benefit your final product by having it look nice and beautiful like this with all of your white beans firm but soft to the tooth.